Hi everyone, welcome to an edition here from coehp.tv to talk about online instruction. We have with us today a special guest. This is Dr. Gary Shoup. Gary, we're so glad you're here today with us.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's always an interesting topic, and I have to admit that there's something very special coming up in September here at Columbus State University. We have the Distance Learning Conference on September 23rd and 24th, Thursday and Friday in September. And I know you're going to be presenting there, as a matter of fact. So you've got a presentation because you spend a lot of your time really understanding, learning how to use technology with your students for those online classes. And today, I think that's our topic. So let's talk a little bit about it. Would you kind of talk a little bit about your experience in using this in just a general sense? Because I've heard from faculty who've said, wait a minute, I want to do an online course, but there are just so many things out there, so many examples, and I have to learn all of this new technology, and it's a difficult, it's a learning curve and difficult thing to do. What would you say, first of all, a little bit about your experience, and then what would you say to the instructor that wants to do this but has a little reservation about whether or not this is going to be a real steep learning curve?
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate, first of all, I want to say thanks for inviting me in.
Sure, my pleasure.
I have really, I guess I would say with my advice to a new instructor would be just to start off small. And that's what I did. I just began to find something that was available for me, a tool that I could use with the students, and I began to explore it and began to apply it in little variations, and then I began to go a little bit deeper and try different things with it. And I didn't do it all in one time. It was like over a period of a year, I've begun to learn more and more tools as they become available, and as I began to become a little more braver and get more courage and not making a fool of myself or something like that. And that's one thing I guess was a fear, is that what if I look dumb?
Right.
Well, you don't have to always even show yourself on the camera. And I know I don't like my voice and my accent. Nobody likes the way they sound for some reason. But
so with that, you're talking about using some video, but jump back to something you just said a minute ago. You started very small. Mm-hmm. So if you were giving some advice to someone about this, I mean, what did you use when you first started out, just to kind of get into the use of all those tools? And we're going to talk about those in a minute. But what would be an example of an early tool that you used on an online course?
One of the easiest tools I began to use first of all was the WIMBA program. Okay. It's a live, or it can be archived either way, program where they only heard my voice, but the students came in and joined me in a chat session. Okay. And they could either type their questions or they could ask them if they had a microphone to us or to me. And I began to just share with them a little bit about some course content using a simple PowerPoint and going through some of the steps of the PowerPoint and bringing in some discussions. And they asked questions. A few of them did. A lot of them it was new to them too. So they ran into some issues. But other than that, we worked through it, and they all enjoyed it.
It sounds great. I mean, so that was a voice chat. And if they had a microphone, they could actually talk to you over the internet to ask the question as they would in a class, or if they didn't have a microphone, if I understood you right, they could type in a question and you could respond to it in that way.
That's the way they did it, and some of them said, I can hear you, but I can't speak. I said, well, use the chat board, the type, the little apparatus they have there available for you. And it was simple, and I thought that was fun. And I left after an hour. The students responded back to me like, hey, I really enjoyed that. And so I got some good feedback from it. And so we began to do it more often and more often. And then I began to let the students make presentations using that same chat board.
Oh, so the students used that back with you. Oh, okay.
They actually could present their proposal to the rest of the class and walk through it. Now, I did not know how to turn the WIMBA over to them and allow them to have presentation rights, so I would advance the slide for them, and then they would tell us the class what it was and what they were doing. And
so if I got that right, they uploaded a PowerPoint that they did a presentation for, but you had control of how that changed?
Well, they actually sent the PowerPoint to me, and
I sent it to you. Okay, I got it.
I uploaded it.
Okay, and then you put it on the WIMBA platform and then marched them through. But if I heard you correctly, you could have given them rights on their end to be able to advance the slide for themselves as they talk.
Yeah, that was one of my first times of learning how to use it. And so I told the students up front, I said, hey, I'm not really familiar with using this very well, and but we're going to try it because that's the only way to learn it, is to get out there and use it. And so I said, we're all practicing, and a lot of them would say, hey, why don't you try doing this? And I said, hey, yeah, that'll work. We'll do it.
All right.
So I accepted my mistakes, and they accepted them, and we worked through it and did a good job.
Okay, so both you and the students were learning together to use these things. Now, I've also seen that you've done more than just that voice chat now. So you have some video on Wimba. You have some other interactional kinds of tools. So beginning, well, if we went back to that first question where you're saying that initial instructor really wanting to do something online and wanting to use these tools, maybe start small and move forward with that.
I would say that.
Okay. And then where would you go from there?
I think another fun tool that I found inside the Wimba platform was Wimba voicemail. I enjoyed that.
Voicemail.
Yeah, I like giving my students a reminder. Oh, don't forget, students, the rough draft of your methods section is due next Sunday night. Just want to let you know you're doing a great job. Everybody seems to be keeping up. Don't forget the readings this week. Just a reminder from me. Have a great weekend, or Merry Christmas. Having a great. Hope you have a good holidays. Just a little voice from me to hear your instructor instead of having to read all the time. And that's just a little different.
Now that's interesting.
But it was real simple.
All right, I want to know about that. Let's say, okay, I'm going to give like a voicemail. But you're doing it through Wimba, so when they log on to the Cougar View here at Columbus State University, and they go to your class, they'll have that as a message from you.
It actually goes through their...
Or it goes to the email.
Their Gmail, yeah.
It goes through their email, and so they'll have an audio file connected. All right, see, there you go. All right, very interesting.
So that's kind of fun. And I've actually found outside of Wimba another fun tool that's called iJot. EYEJOT,
okay,
which gives you like a 1 minute video email that you can send out to your students.
Okay.
And I've used that one before, where I'll just it shows a video picture of yourself. It's not just voice; it's actually a video clip of 1 minute that you can send to your students. It doesn't cost anything; it's free. It doesn't go through Wimba, but I send it to myself, and then I'll forward it to my students.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I don't know all their emails on that.
Right.
It's not in you have to enter them into iJot. So to save myself some time, I sent it to me, and then I forward it to them.
There you go. All right. So this is an outside program that you just download, free program.
It's free. It's called iJot, and I've just played around with it, found it, and shared it with a few students, and it's just a good way to make that human contact again outside of just reading text.
So obviously you're going to need a computer with a web camera capable of the video, and of course a microphone to be able to pull these things off. Okay.
And I highly recommend MacBook Pro.
Okay, all right, you're a Mac person now after some experience with it. Well, one of the things I know you have on our while we're doing this show, there's a couple of things that we have. Kenneth Grant, who's helping us produce this show. We want to thank Kenneth for his help today. There are some websites that you've loaded into our machine here. We want to take a look at those. Kenneth, if you want to pull one up, and we'll just let Dr. Shoup talk a little bit about it.
Why don't we start with the stay in Wimba, and let's go to the Wimba voice presentation. And this is actually another tool that I've used in Wimba that I've used with my students. What I had them do in this assignment was they had to write a dialogue of them as a supervisor confronting or speaking or engaging with a teacher. And they had to write the dialogue out of what they would say, what the teacher would say. Then they had to find a person to read the teacher part, and they would read the principal or the administrator part. And so what you're going to hear here is Ricky English, or James English. He and his wife are reading his script, and they recorded it in Wimba recording. And so let's listen to what they say. It's kind of funny, so you'll get to hear all their accents and everything too.
All right.
That kid is unreachable. I've tried every trick in my bag and none have worked. I can't handle having him in my class any longer. He disrupts the learning of others, and I'm not going to allow that to happen
anymore. You might want to check the volume on the screen there.
Come on in and let's talk about it. Please, Miss Bender, have a seat, and let me see if I can help you. You're on planning now, right?
Yeah, we're on planning. I've tried everything and nothing. I've talked to administrators about Kyle's behavior, and I get No help from y'all. Kyle's conduct is so bad in my class. He's the worst student I teach all day. He's a constant disruption, always up out of his seat, talking, and now he started throwing erasers at other students. I've separated him from other students, assigned him a desk over in the corner. He's not scared of anything.
That's probably enough of that one. And she just goes on and talks about her problem, and they work it out and figure out how they can solve it.
Okay, so they did a role play in that with that particular dilemma that you gave them, and then had to script it out and then present it. And so he obviously, I don't know who the student was, the wife or the husband, but they got the spouse to come in and just role play that.
Yeah.
Now I know some of these videos or some of these audios too will probably the people watching the show are going to be able to hear them. We may not hear them on the set, so that's the only difference there.
Oh, okay.
All right. So what else have you got that you brought in today?
I was going to say, the good thing about that program is that the other students in the classroom could actually click on and hear Ricky's dialogue as well, so they could make comments about what they thought, how good a job he did, or what did he need to improve on.
Okay, so there's an interactive piece where you can ask students to evaluate
they can make
each
comments.
other.
They can make comments below in the box there. You can type your comments in or record a comment.
All right, now what's that called again? What is
That's
that?
called WIMBA presentation or WIMBA voice presentation.
Voice presentation. Okay, I like that. All right, you've got some more stuff here.
I have another one.
Make sure we get everything.
This is an easy one. This one is so cut and dry. It's so easy to use that if you've got a webcam and a voice mic, this is where here I am just sitting in my office or at home somewhere, and I wanted to show the students how to go about finding a possible dissertation online that they could actually use as a possible reference into one of their proposal for a citation. So I wanted to show them how to get there. So I use this. This is called a screen capture program. You'll see me in the left-hand corner, but that's not what's important. What's important is what's on the screen there. So let's go ahead and show that, if you would, Kenneth. This is me just showing them how to use navigate through Galileo and find dissertations online.
Okay, so you pulled up a website over there, and now you're going to explain it. Okay.
Right.
Okay, students, what I'm going to do is, this is a presentation that's going to show you how you can obtain some more empirical data for your study in case you're running into some problems where you can't find any empirical articles. There are some other empirical articles, but they're not really articles, they're dissertations that students such as yourself have actually become a researcher and have researched and studied a particular topic, and they've reported their findings. And I'm going to show you how to go about discovering that and how you can go about getting to it and bringing it into your dissertation. I'm going to go to CougarNet, and I log on to CougarNet, and you have to actually go to Galileo.
Okay, so step by step,
I'm going to
you're
use
walking
the topic
through this process,
that Danielle
and you're
Graves
pulling up
is
those
working on.
websites in real
It's called,
time and logging in and typing in that. So they're seeing your screen, and as you kind of walk them through and help them really understand how to get to that research, how to get to the library, how to use those resources.
Yeah. And it goes on and shows them how to get to the dissertations that they can look at, and we discussed that a little bit about how to use it. But it's to me, that's a real good tool. It was easy for me to make that. It lasted maybe 12 minutes. I can cut them down to 5 minutes, and I find that, and the students can upload them to their iPhone, to their iPad, to their computer, to whatever device they have that's available. They can upload it and listen to it or watch it, whatever capability they have, which I like that a lot.
Well, the portability is so
yeah.
much of this distance learning issue, the issues we're talking about, certainly at the conference in September 23rd and 24th here at Columbus State University. I mean, I've talked to some of the IT folks here on the campus, and they're very, very interested in creating apps and creating other content that's on multiple platforms, not just on a laptop or your home computer, but on your cell phone and the various types of cell phones, including the iPhone, the iPad, and some of those things as well. So I think we're moving very fast in that direction. Now, I got to ask you though, it seems like you were, we had this conversation earlier, and you were talking about all the work that you had to do to kind of learn this this technology and put it into play, and it doesn't seem like it was that difficult with the way you just talked about it. So I think I want to invite people to try some of these things out as well. Yeah. But you also mentioned the student experience, that they were actually engaged in the process, learning some of these technologies, and then using it back in their own presentations.
Correct. I have actually had them, there's a feature in Integrity, the one that video we just watched, where you can actually allow student recordings. And so I've had students to actually bring up and upload their own PowerPoint presentation of their, say for instance, their proposal, and it looks like a PowerPoint where they're giving the talking points and explaining their proposal to the rest of the class.
To the rest of
and
the class,
then,
and that's a key issue.
Yeah, and everyone's watching it, and then what I do is I actually tie that into assessment, and I have the students go to the other students' presentations and critique them for a grade.
Okay.
Now, I take what the students learn from the PowerPoint, and that would be that student's grade, not the presenter's grade. They're not grading the presenter.
Right.
They're just gathering their information from the presenter, such as the independent variable, the dependent variable, what's the hypothesis, and what is the method of data collection, who were the participants, and things like that. So they've got to be very in tune and pay close attention, and then give some feedback on that critique as well about how they think the student did.
Well, I know some of our faculty members are very big on rubrics around here and looking at how you might rate and give feedback to others. But the important thing may be that this is truly interactive, just as it would be in a face-to-face classroom. Is that what you're finding, and are the students really responding in that way in terms of the interactivity?
Really, they are. I wanted to make, and I started thinking, how can I make my online classes reflect what happens in my face-to-face classes as much as almost mirrored completely. Well, I can't create an audience online, but I can if I can create the presentation through an online platform, and that's where I use the Integrity and the WIMBA to give the students an opportunity to set the stage for them to present to their classmates.
Well,
and they use it.
Well, it sounds like they do, and they're getting a lot out of it. I mean, that's one of the biggest criticisms of all the online courses. I mean, we talked in here in various shows about the issue of, people putting their PowerPoints up there and calling it an online class and text-based and so forth. But what you're doing is using the tools that are available to create real interactivity, just as it would be in that face-to-face classroom. And that's going to add a good deal of quality to the experience for the student, and I think they're going to get more out of it in that way. Has that been your experience? And I assume that they write reviews and critique the course at the end. And what have you heard them say about this?
They've enjoyed it. They wish that a lot of them tell me that they really like the way I've laid it out, so simple for them, that they have so many resources that are available to help them through the online course, that they really appreciate.
There's a lot of fear about taking an online course, both teaching it and also being a student in that. So it sounds like if you give them that structure and help them and see that it is, and let them see that it's easy to do, they can go ahead and you can create that interactivity.
I think the word's getting around too about my online course, especially the 6116 Educational Research. And I have more students trying to get into that course because it's online, because of the convenience and the resources that I provide.
Right.
Because to not make an A in that course, you really have to be brain dead, because it's so easy. And I tell them, if you'll just follow these steps, you will be able to write a proposal and make your A and learn a lot in the process.
Well, Gary, I tell you, you've really helped us understand this better. And I tell you, I think, from my perspective, you're leading the way in lots of ways in this online technology and the use of really taking these tools and making these courses effective for yourself, making sure you get the content out, you're recreating that face-to-face class. But it sounds like a great experience for the end user, that student who's taking the class. Thank you so much for showing up today and talking a little bit about that, and we really appreciate it. We're glad you tuned in. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'm Michael Baltimore with Gary Shoup. We're here in the studios at coehp.tv, and we hope this has been helpful to you. We'll see you next time.